Hello ratbags, it's Jade Plays Games. Welcome to a very special JPG game news show. It's absolutely bumper filled today, so let's crack on. We're going to be going through why the Ark dedicated fix for consoles didn't actually work for some of you, particularly on Xbox. We're also going to be taking a look at the price of the Season Pass for Ark Survival Evolved and going through what to expect. Subnautica has been releasing some information about the problems they're having getting the game optimised. Alongside that, hopefully we might be able to find some info about the PS4 version that is meant to be coming out, or is it? And if you've been watching my channel lately, you'll have seen I've been enjoying The Long Dark massively. Unfortunately, there are some real game-breaking problems with it. However, the developer has come out with a really fantastic statement. And then we're rounding things up with We Happy Few. It's not just Ark Survival Evolved that are charging a premium price for their independent games. We'll be detailing exactly what's going on with that game as well at the end of the show. So guys, last night unfortunately the update dropped for Xbox and the PS4. Now apparently according to some people the PS4 version is working. You just simply need to do a dino wipe and make sure your dino count multiplier is actually set to something very low like 0.2. As for Xbox, as you could see there from the image, it looks like the issues have not been resolved. Jack tweeted this out saying, "Thanks for the info guys, we'll get it to the team to hopefully have this Xbox PDS issue resolved. Sorry for the letdown." The Xbox update was a huge one, 20 GB plus another 5 for Scorched Earth. Obviously it wasn't just to fix the dedicated server issues. There were a bunch of bug fixes, optimizations and improvements ported over from the PC version. It doesn't look like it's going to be an easy fix, and if you don't know, the certification process is usually 5 days at the moment because it's so close to being fully released on Xbox. So if you host a dedicated server on Xbox, you may want to test it out yourself, but don't get your hopes up that it's actually fixed or working. A big shout out to Spud and Spud Army. He tweeted me this picture the other day. Ark Survival Evolved Season Pass is retailing at $35.99 on Xbox One. Now when you consider that Scorched Earth was $16.99 when it launched in the UK, you could argue that for 3 pieces of DLC that's not a bad price. So for anyone picking up Ark Survival Evolved for the first time, the Season Pass may look attractive considering it's going to have 3 brand new maps and 3 new conversions or new ways of playing it. However, it's as expensive as a Call of Duty Season Pass. Now we know that Ark views itself as a AAA game. That's why it's got the retail disc version and that's why it's put itself out there and made the price it is. But another £36 on top of the game already being like 54, that is just madness. Not to mention the fact that most people on Xbox probably have bought Scorched Earth already. 9 million sales of Ark Survival Evolved, you can bet at least 8 million of them people have gone and bought Scorched Earth. And I say that's a high number because they've put it on sale so many times on Steam and Xbox. So when you look at it like that, the Season Pass I guess is around $17.50 for each DLC. But in my eyes that was the problem with Scorched Earth, it was too expensive for what it was. While it may offer hundreds of hours of playability, the fact that you could actually spawn in nearly every creature yourself on a regular game without purchasing it was just a bit of a meh. Not to mention the fact that Ragnarok, the brand new free DLC, is going to incorporate nearly every creature from Scorched Earth as well as some of the biomes. So what is the point in buying a Season Pass or a DLC if they're going to release mods that include it or the game still has most of the bulk items in it? So let me know what you think about that. Are you going to be doing this? Are you going to be getting a Season Pass? Or are you going to be waiting for the individual DLCs to actually launch? So moving on to Subnautica. Subnautica is meant to be launching in the next few months. Now it looks like it may have been delayed slightly. When you check the roadmap they seem to be progressing really well. However, what has dropped off the roadmap is the PS4 port. Charlie Cleveland, the creator of Subnautica alongside the rest of the team, have plans to release the game in October. Now that's a little bit way behind what I think they had originally planned, but it's not too far off. And that's the PC version. The Xbox version may not actually launch at the same time. Although they're both in early access and you can buy them now, both versions have their issues and problems with performance. Charlie Cleveland, the creator here, answered me back when I said it's a shame you're not launching on at least console and PC at the same time. And you've also removed the PS4 port target. And he's replied, yeah, we just don't have time to get it working well enough. Now, I was a bit unclear about whether or not he meant come into console at the same time or whether or not he removed the PS4 target. It's going to be a real shame if they've dropped plans for it to come to the PS4. The reason it was hyped was because it was put on the roadmap to put it as a PS4 port. So while you can never say never, it looks like you won't see Subnautica come to the PS4 until at least 2018. And one of them reasons, as I said, is about performance. The Subnautica team have recently hired a bunch of brand new programmers. And this late in the game, that says to me the game is struggling. Hopefully it's not, hopefully it's a case of just really being extra cautious, or they really want to make sure everything is really great for launch. What I really liked about this post though is detailing the problems and issues with the actual development of the game. And this is the standard thing for lots of independent companies. It's really hard to optimise a new game for better performance when new features are being added. As new updates are built, they mess with any concurrent attempts to improve frame rates. It's also really hard to optimise a game that hasn't received all its intended features. Without all systems in place, it's impossible to see how they interact and what needs to be optimised to achieve great frame rates. But going back to Ark Survival Evolved, that is one of its biggest criticisms it faced. It didn't do enough optimisation and added too many things. And considering the game is coming out extremely soon and we're in fact past its original deadline date, it does worry me that they're still having massive issues, whether it's with the dedicated servers or problems like being able to join PS4 online servers. So the plan is to trim the deadwood, get rid of any sort of systems or bits of extra code that shouldn't be in the game that became, implemented very early on. And hopefully this will start making the performance, particularly on Xbox One, more bearable. Xbox One is unplayable. I have tried many a time, and that's why I've not continued with my Subnautica Let's Plays, because I just can't take the actual frame rate. I will suffer many odd performance issues with games and many glitches and bugs. But the way it stutters and jogs you as you're trying to play is just really off-putting. So I really hope they get this nailed down, and they have got a good few months still before it actually releases. And another developer facing issues, even though now this game is actually fully released, is The Long Dark. Like I said, I've been enjoying this massively. It's unprecedented for me to get so many episodes of something out so quickly, and I just am really enjoying it. Unfortunately, I'm not enjoying the dashboarding that's continually happening on Xbox. I tried doing my latest episodes last night, and within the space of an hour I must have crashed out 3 or 4 times. And during the whole series of my Let's Play earlier on, I must have crashed around 15 times. But one thing I really like about this, and I will bear with it and I'll get back to it as soon as it's fixed, is the creative director has detailed a big long post about everything that's gone on with it. And it's very similar to a little bit of what the actual Subnautica page said as well. It really brings focus into the process of actual certification as well. What I really liked about this though, the creator of The Long Darks give a really detailed statement regarding certification processes and the problems he's faced with The Long Dark launching. The Long Dark uses an editor called Perforce, or part of the engine. Occasionally what you see in the editor is not the same as what's seen in the released game, so we have to make a build. Now if you know anything about the Ark and the Unreal engine, it's exactly the same process, but they just use different engines. Every time they update the game, they have to make a standalone version in the dev kit, and as long as that works and it's functioning how it should be, they then send it off for certification. The creator of Long Dark goes on to say it takes about 4 to 5 hours. They test each platform internally as well as get support from an outside testing lab. This is what happens for every patch, and it's pretty much what happens for every game that does this. On Steam there is no certification process, so they can do as many updates as they want, and they can usually fix things a lot quicker. For PlayStation 4 they have 2 separate PlayStation builds, one for Sony America and one for Sony Europe. So they have to do both submissions for both companies separately. Once that's all done, you can release it on the PlayStation Store. After you certify, the next update is a day 1 patch, which we are all pretty much familiar with now, with every single big AAA game having a day 1 patch. But this day 1 patch can also take 5 days to approve. If it passes, you can use the rapid patching system, which allows us to update the game within a few hours, and that's correct, that's on PlayStation, provided we don't do anything that would require a new certification patch. So The Long Dark in America is far along, and they can use this rapid patching system to get any problems or issues resolved. And apparently that's why the actual American version is actually up to date, just like Steam. Unfortunately, PS4 Europe version is still getting through the day 1 patch part of the process. Last night we received word that a day 1 for Europe has been rejected due to a well-known crash that will be fixed as soon as we can rapid patch. Unfortunately, the way the process is set up, we may have to resubmit a new day 1 patch. So that's going to mean another 5 days for it to go through certification again. Hopefully they may be able to pull some strings and maybe get it out quicker. But if you're having problems on Sony, that's the issue that's facing you at the moment, particularly in Europe. What I really liked again as well is to be clear, they're not blaming Sony for this. And this is what I really like seeing, because too many times other developers seem to think it's okay to blame it on Microsoft not certifying the game. He goes on to say they have a strict process that they have to work to, and it's designed to protect consumers from issues that could brick their PS4s. But the processes take a while, and until rapid patching is unlocked, we have to go through these steps. As for the Xbox One version, which I am currently playing on and having problems with, it's the same sort of deal. Every patch goes through a 5-day review. If the patch fails the review for some reason, they have to do the whole process again. Now, The Long Dark did receive a 4 gig update only a day after it came out, and they do have a second one in the certification right now. They submit that on Tuesday, so fingers crossed, hopefully we may see it over the weekend. So until that time, I won't be doing any more Long Dark videos until the patch has resolved my crashing issues. He goes on to say, since Xbox patches take so much longer than Steam or PS4, because PS4 has that rapid patching program, they're bundling up fixes in them so that while you get less updates, they should have more fixes in them. That said, this version of the game will be a week behind the others in terms of patches. Microsoft has been a great partner in this, and they're doing everything they can to help us get these updates out to you without compromising their internal verification process. He goes on to say they're going to wait until the issues are resolved before they launch it in other territories like Australia or New Zealand, as well as other places like Japan, Brazil, where they're still actually waiting for ratings. He finishes off saying, I'm not at all happy with how the game was launched. We didn't anticipate some of the issues that would rise at launch, and we've been frankly scrambling to fix things as quickly as we can for you. Although it seemed like we didn't, we did extensive testing in-house and also had 8 testers from a testing lab working on the game for at least 8 weeks of development to help us identify issues. We caught and fixed a lot of issues before launch, some things that had come up, some were impossible to anticipate. Other things slipped through due to carelessness on our part, and in hindsight the amount of content we released in episode 1 and episode 2 was too much for our team to test properly, even with external help. We took for granted that 3 years of early access testing stability would translate to a very stable story mode launch, and we did not fully understand until too late the scope of some of the technical issues that would be uncovered by our launch. Our goal over the coming days and weeks will be to continue fixing all the issues we find and the ones that you report. We should be getting the game to you the way it should be launched. So they are working really hard, and I just really appreciate the fact he's come out with a statement so quickly and so, truthfully about what's gone on. It's no secret that I roast Jeremy Stieglitz at any opportunity I get because I think his communication is really shitty. And with the whole debacle of the actual delay to the game and issues with Ragnarok, as well as the problems now with dedicated servers, it's a shame Jeremy couldn't do something very similar. When developers take the time to fully explain stuff like this, whether it's Hinterland Studios for Long Dark or Subnautica, it really helps you understand what's going on, and it will actually usually make you understand and appreciate it. And for me, it makes me feel better about any problems or issues coming to the game, and I'll give them extra time, or I'll help them and support them as much as I can. But when game developers don't necessarily communicate in the right manner, or they seem to only tweet hyperbole, it's really distracting, and it's really leading people not to support the game. And while the community team Ark Survival Evolved are doing a great job, it would be nice to get some sort of vlog or blog or just some info from some of the top higher guys that actually created the game. That being said, no matter how much communication you're going to give, sometimes it's going to piss people off, and the compulsion games with We Happy Few may be doing that. Hey everyone, we are finally already in August. As previously announced, we'll be releasing our last public update for We Happy Few before its final release. This update will drop on August the 16th. Now, We Happy Few came out last year, and it wasn't actually a Kickstarter product. Since they launched on Kickstarter and released the game in early access, We Happy Few has been $29.99. They've never put it on sale because we believe it isn't fair for someone to get the game at a lower price than a Kickstarter backer or an early access backer while the game is still in development. Take note, wildcard. Since 2015 we have made clear that the price would increase as we approach the final release, and that time has finally come. On August the 16th the price for the game will become $50.99. Now that's a $20 hike in price. And again, it seems quite steep comparatively to what the game really is. But is it really $50 worth of game there? Am I just really old and not moving with the times? Should I understand more that independent games need to be more expensive? With Ark Survival Evolved being $60, is this the future of independent gaming, to actually increase the prices as soon as they launch? Maybe it's just something we're not used to. In years gone by when early access games have launched, they've only incremented the price slightly, but it does seem a little bit steep. Comparatively, compared to Ark Survival Evolved, there isn't hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours in this game. While it is an open world survival game which you can go and do lots of missions and stuff on, I still don't see it being anything more than maybe 30 hours tops. Maybe with the story mode added on, that could take you through another 6 to 8 hours, and I could be wrong, and I hopefully will get some more information on the 16th. But at $50, and it's not even actually fully releasing, they seem to be copying Ark Survival Evolved's method. Who knows if they've got plans for a physical release? Maybe that's the justification, just like Ark did. Or maybe I'm just pessimistic, I just can't help it. At the moment, early access seems to be going through this really weird thing where they're charging premium prices, giving out umpteenth delays, and not really giving people their actual value for what they've done. I'm not talking about value in money, I'm talking about value in supporting the game. At least Compulsion, the We Happy Few developers, are honest in this and saying they don't want to offer the game cheaper to people that haven't backed it, but I still can't see it being worth $50. So, if you've been playing any of them early access games, let me know what you think about them. What do you think about the certification process now you understand how Ark and Long Dark and Subnautica, the processes they have to go through to get their game updated? Does it make you understand a little bit more? Does it make you feel like you don't give a shit still? Leave some comments down below. I'm Jade Plays Games. I'll be back with the JPG game news very soon, and I'll see you ratbags later.